Hey everyone, good afternoon or good morning to our West Coasters. Just a couple of quick things before we dive in. Please pop any questions into the Q&A box. As we go, we'll be answering questions in the chat and then we'll save time at the end for as many as possible. And if you want to get a recording of today's session, we'll send out a recording via email to everyone who registered. So if you need to hop off early or want to share this with a team member, you absolutely can. So thank you so much, first and foremost, for carving out time to be here, especially so close to the holidays. This time of year is super busy, so we appreciate it. I'm really excited for our topic today, achieving pervasive visibility online, what patients see before they see you. And what that means, achieving pervasive visibility, the idea behind it is making sure that you are visible to as many patients as possible, no matter where they're searching. We'll look a lot into how the patient search journey has changed quite a bit. But first, wanted to introduce myself. My name's Tate. I'm a solutions marketing manager here at Raider 8, and I get to talk to practice administrators, healthcare marketers, patient experience pros day in and day out, and really learn how they're using reputation management to further their goals. My job also involves staying close to the pulse of our industry, emerging trends, and one of the biggest trends that I've seen over the past several months is a change in the way patients find healthcare. What does that actually look like? Well, it's changing a lot, changing pretty rapidly, but the fundamentals are still the same. They want someone or something that they trust to give them a recommendation so that they feel less nervous about seeing a doctor about a personal health issue. A lot of emotions, kind of scary sometimes. So we need to instill trust. So this is what a lot of potential patient search journeys will look like. The reality is that 10 different patients searching for the same doctor are going to do so in 10 different ways, and probably you're going to get 10 different search results. This top journey up here was me recently. I went to my PCP about an issue, was referred to a specialist. I did no further research. I booked immediately with that specialist, went on with my life. But that's not the reality for a lot of people. Uh, some patients are going to have a different journey because their trust relationship with their PCP is a little bit different, or a referral in and of itself, honestly, is only going to happen in specific circumstances. A patient might go to a specialist directly. And so what this means is that there are a lot, and almost infinite feels like, amount of ways a patient can search for care. We have more information at our fingertips than ever. The search journey is fragmented across things like Google, AI overviews, ChatGPT, social media, referrals, personal recommendations, insurance directories. I could go on and on. But the reason that this is happening is that patients are looking for trusted answers and concrete recommendations, not just a website. So that makes your visibility a moving target. The factors that affect how you show up in search today might be different tomorrow. They are certainly different than they were 6 months ago. So you need a strategy that is ready to pivot and continuously operating. To really drive this home, we did a couple of interviews with our fellow Raider Aiders, around the virtual office, because we're all patients. Each and every one of you on this webinar is a patient at some point. So are all of us that work here. So we wanted to see how a few of our colleagues search for care. Our first interview is with Brittany from our team. All right. So Brittany, let's say that you have gone to your primary care provider about an issue that's existed before, and they refer you to a specialist. What are your next steps after you've been referred? What would your search for care look like?
So if I would, this recently just happened actually. So I tore my ligaments in my ankle, and I received a referral to an orthopedic surgeon. And I immediately looked up the orthopedic surgeon that they referred me to well, I should say clinic. It's not an actual doctor. So then I looked up the doctors and then expanded my searches because the doctors just didn't look great. Um, and then it went just even like a step further and it looked like what our patients even just saying on other sites about like their recovery, what the whole journey looked like, and then how did the providers interact with them throughout that. So it's really just on like the entire patient experience. And I didn't look at just one source. The AI overviews were a huge driving force for me on that because they did cite so many sources in that overview of where that feedback would be located.
Okay. And when you mentioned, doctors not looking good, what would cause you to rule out a practice or a provider?
A low rating, really anywhere. So the provider that I saw looked great on Google, but
Mm.
specifically, I remember like vitals and health grades not looking great. Um, and there were just some really negative experiences on that. And so then I even took to like Facebook to see what were patients saying online. Um, and it was more bad than good. So I just kind of expanded my searches down that rabbit hole, basically.
All right. Next interview is with Kristen, different scenario. So, Kristen, I know you have boys. Imagine one of them sprains their ankle really bad, and you need to find somewhere to go quickly. What are your next steps?
Yeah. I honestly, it's one of two paths. It depends on how bad, how bad, how bad. If it's really bad, we're going to the ER. Like I know that's just straight up what's happening. But then I would take like one of two approaches for the like less might like if they're walking around on it and it's like clearly not bent in a weird way. It's like clearly like just a minor injury, but whatever. If it was the weekend, I would probably take him to urgent care because a lot of practices aren't open during the week. But if it's during the week, which it often is because they're in cross country and that is when they sprain their ankles, that's probably where I would go look for a local orthopedic surgeon that can get him in. And I would do the same thing that I would do for any doctor now, which is it's new to me, but it's worked really well. Is I would pick up my phone the way that I do. I would open it up, and then on the home screen, there's this little thing right here, and it's a Google search because I have a Google phone. And at the very end of it, there's this little search icon with a little starry on it. And when I
Right.
click on that, it goes into AI mode. And I can just talk to my AI and say, hey, my son just sprained his ankle and I need to go see an orthopedist about it really quickly to make sure there's nothing terribly permanent wrong with it. Can you find me somebody that's got really good reviews and I can go see them like right now? And then I would search and it would say, hey, you should take your son to a specialized orthopedic urgent care clinic right now. And then I've got Orthopedic Health of Kansas City. It tells me some of the reviews. They're highly rated, 4.7 stars. Many positive reviews mentioning quick and efficient service. Kansas City Ortho Institute, also well regarded, 4.6 stars. Full range of orthopedic services with an on site urgent care clinic. Both locations have excellent reviews for their orthopedic care and ability to handle acute injuries promptly. It's best to call ahead or check their websites for current wait times and ensure they accept your insurance. And then it has this little helpful tip here where it says, what are some home care recommendations for an ankle sprain? So what can I do like right now while I'm waiting to do this? Like that helps me a lot. I mean, I think as anyone who has boys will tell you, you've already figured this out for yourself when they're that age because they like to throw themselves off of things all the time. But what are the pros and cons of using crutches versus a walking boot after an ankle sprain? So like if they're already prepping me for what's probably going to happen when I get in there. So like I'm my expectations are set a little bit. Like this gives me some comfort and
Yeah.
sense of control over, a very scary situation. So for me, like that's probably what I would do because it's so like I said, I like this is new to me. I just started doing this probably a month and a half ago. I mean, it's not even been super recent, but it works really
All right. Last interview, different scenario with Austin. So, Austin, let's say that you have moved to a new city. You need to find a new primary care provider, and you're not sure where to start. Where do you go about finding that new provider?
Yes, so right out the gate, naturally, I want somebody that's in network. So my first starting point would be pretty much my insurance's portal, where I could search for whatever type of care I'm looking for. Um, from there, usually what I'm looking for is the combination of proximity to where I live and getting quality care. So unfortunately, when it comes to the insurance search network or dashboard or whatever, however you'd refer to it, whatever providers they provide you often have little to no reputation within that search engine. And unfortunately, at least for me, I never seem like the I never seem to get one that's as close to me as it thinks they are to me. So both the reputation of that provider, the quality of care that they may provide, along with the actual distance from them, usually isn't accurate when I'm looking at my insurance directory. So basically, what I do is I find ones that claim they're accepting new patients, and I pick the first five, and I just start searching their names online to number one, confirm their proximity, but also figure out, do they actually have a good reputation? Um, from there, I might make like a top three list, call them, see what availability they have, and ultimately book the one that is both the closest to me, fits my schedule, and hopefully at a bare minimum, the first box I checked was that they have a solid reputation,
Mm.
and there's nothing to be concerned
So, all right. So, what did we learn from those three interviews? Well, even among a group of people who do healthcare reputation management for a living, we saw a wide variety of perspectives in how they search for care. But it is not just us. We anonymously surveyed 1,000 patients about their search behavior, and here's what we found. 84% of patients check online reviews before choosing a new provider. This has been the case for a long time. Online reviews are important. 61% of patients say that even personal recommendations wouldn't sway their decision if they saw negative reviews online. We saw that with Brittany's scenario earlier. 40% have canceled or avoided booking an appointment entirely due to negative reviews. And this last one, kind of mind-blowing to me, 31% of patients say they've used generative AI like ChatGPT or Google's AI overviews to research or compare providers. Now, again, that last one is what we'll double click on for the remainder of the webinar because that's the newest part of it. This means that how, where, and why patients find you can really feel out of your control. And so the answer to that is something called, we'll use the acronym GEO. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as AEO or answer engine optimization, but I'll typically use GEO or generative engine optimization. What big takeaway from that is that AI tools have created an entirely new digital channel that you just can't ignore. When over 30% of patients are already using them to make care decisions, this is not a trend that's going away. So if your practice isn't reflected accurately or authoritatively across the web, the chatbot might misrepresent you. You might not show up at all to that patient searching, or you might show up well, right? But what we can do is influence and understand what things are affecting these different AI search tools so that you show up as accurately and consistently as possible. Now, I'm going to show a couple of searches that I did on Google's AI overviews and on ChatGPT so we can see the difference between the two. These are the two most commonly used chatbots. So in this scenario here, let's say that I was referred to Dr. Sullenberger as a cardiologist, and my heart's a big deal. Kind of worried. I want to make sure I'm in good hands. So I look up, is Dr. Lance Sullenberger a good cardiologist? And What Google is doing in over 80% of cases is coming up with this AI overview, over 80% of cases in healthcare related searches. And this shows up above any paid ads, it shows up above your website, it shows up above any local search. This is what your patients are seeing more than 80% of the time. And so the good news is it's saying Dr. Sullenberger is considered a good cardiologist. Well, how is it figuring that out? Google cites its sources, and so we can see what it's pulling from. We see things like Healthline Find Care, we see Capital Cardiology Associates Facebook, we see Google reviews, their website, a couple other third-party websites. And while Capital Cardiology Associates can't really influence some of these websites that it's pulling from, what it can influence is these reviews that are being built. It can influence what is on their website, obviously. And Google is pulling from a variety of different sources already. But when we do this exact same search on ChatGPT, worded the same way and everything, we see different sources being cited. So we see the Capital Cardiology Associates website, great, but then we're also seeing an Albany Med Health System, Doximity, Health Grades. I did this search yesterday and saw WebMD in here as well. It is really, really interesting how often these searches change. Now, what ChatGPT wants to do is keep the conversation going, make sure I get all the information that I need out of it, and it's going to ask, well, if you'd like, I can check recent patient feedback to see how he's doing now. Well, yeah, I want to see that, so I tell ChatGPT yes, and it gives me even more sources. Pulls up his Rate verified reviews listing, getting all that real patient feedback collected into one place. We've got medical news today. We've got health grades again down here. So these are really different sources than what Google was showing for the same question. It might encourage you to look up one of your doctors and have 5 of your colleagues do it as well. All of you will get different results. It's absolutely crazy. One last search I'll show you is I can give ChatGPT or another AI chatbot a lot of context. So I can tell it, I had heart surgery as a kid, have needed to see a heart surgery consistently every few years, no complications, but I just moved to a new area. Who's the best cardiologist in the area? I have given it a lot of information here, and it can take that and make a recommendation. It can't, it's always going to give me the caveat that it can't pick the best cardiologist, but it'll give me a recommendation. Spoiler, Capital Cardiology Associates is showing up really well in these. But thing to consider, even more sources are being cited. Of course, we've got their website, but we've also got a Chamber of Commerce cited here. We've got WebMD in this one. We've got Rate reviews again. And so, citing to a few different doctors as well as that practice. And this is the challenge of GEO. So what can we actually do about it? I'll show you some strategies to get started. All right. Again, generative engine optimization is about optimizing your entire digital footprint, not just your website, so that AI tools can find, understand, and trust your data. A quick level set though. None of these strategies that I'm about to talk about will guarantee that your physicians or your practice will show up all the time in every single AI search. What you're doing is you're influencing what AI picks up to increase the likelihood that what it does say about you is positive and accurate. It allows you to control the narrative that is fed to AI. And to me, this feels like the theme of the next few slides. It's control the controllables. I managed sales teams for many years, and that was always my motto for my teammates. Now that I see how often AI tools change and how patient search behavior has changed along with it, it seems like an appropriate motto to apply here as well. Our first strategy in our GEO playbook is about the content on your website. The goal is not to guess the formula that any given AI tool will use, but to create high quality, structured content that is easily digestible and trusted by AI models. Again, controlling those controllables. But certain content formats perform well because they align with how AI models structure answers. First of which is FAQ pages. Patients ask questions, AI needs answers. So covering common questions about service lines or conditions is useful to AI. Next is how-to guides and tutorials. Step-by-step content, highly useful for AI. For example, how to protect yourself from skin cancer. Next, comparisons and versus pages. Patients often ask comparative questions. So when you write something like a grade 1, 2, and 3 ankle sprain compared, AI can use that easily. Next, listicles and rankings. List type content is just so easily structured, easy for AI to read that it's easily digested. An example of that might be 10 steps to prevent heat stroke. Last, specialty specific content. So including unique use cases relevant to your specialty is important because like we saw with that highly contextualized search that I did on ChatGPT earlier, AI tailors things to user context. Something like a doctor spotlight or a service line breakdown can really help AI understand what to surface in which context. The takeaway of all of this is to focus on clarity, structure, and factual precision. AI really does prefer informational and neutral toned sources over something marketing heavy. Second, GEO strategy for you is consistency on your listings. Your practice and your physicians show up in a lot of different places online, whether that is Google, health grades, rate verified reviews of your client, all over the place. And name, address, and phone number consistency is a bare minimum. When, for example, a name appears one way consistently in several different places, it gives an AI chatbot a sense of confidence that that's the right person or practice and that that's the right way to refer to them, and that any website or listing that talks about that position or that practice in that certain way is a preferable source. It's a trusted source. It's more credible, up to date. And so if you look at your physician's listings and notice, oh, Dr. Smith has everything looks up to date on Google, but on health grades, we've got a different address, and on vitals, we've got the same address from Google, but a name from, formatted differently. And it can tell the AI, well, I don't know what's the trusted source here, so I'm just not going to surface this physician at all. It's kind of a bare minimum to be in the AI's consideration set. The last thing here is where Rater8's Rave, the Rater8 visibility engine, comes into play. So what we're doing with Rave is really that review building side of things. So when we get all of your practice, physician, location information into Rave, collect patient feedback, we are able to distribute it across all these different sites so that they are consistently fed with verified with up-to-date information, so that as many LLMs, as many AI chatbots rather, are able to digest them as possible so that they are seen by as many of that 31% of patients that are using AI to search for care as possible. Now, what happens when we are only focusing, or you choose to only focus on some of these strategies, or one review site? Well, this is a little bit of, come on, there you go. This is what happens. So if you're creating great content on your website, but you're only focusing on Google, Well, the only chatbot that digests Google reviews is Gemini, which is, the one that powers Google AI overviews. We saw it earlier with Dr. Sullenberger. Now, that means that somebody searching on ChatGPT might get some content from your website, but who knows what else they're going to get. ChatGPT might decide to surface the health grades review from 13 years ago that you forgot about. And that is the real, challenge with getting seen in as many places as possible. That's why it's important to distribute that feedback as wide as possible across the web. All right, we've talked about a lot today. So here are some key takeaways. First off, pervasive visibility requires optimization for AI tools. You cannot be found at as many places as possible if you're not considering how you show up on AI tools. Again, when that 31% of patients is searching, they may or may not find you. Next, consistency is non-negotiable. That is consistency in listings, consistency in review building, consistency in where you're distributing those reviews. It is all essential. Last, control your controllables. Nothing that we talked about here is the end all be all to your pervasive visibility online. It all works together to create, again, the likelihood that you will be found on those AI tools. We've talked a lot about this change in AI search or in patient search behavior using AI, and a little bit about what to do about it. But we want to give you some practical next steps as well to getting Rate and Rave, the Rate visibility engine involved. So first thing that you can do is get a free reputation monitoring dashboard. This dashboard is a living dashboard. It collects all of your patient feedback, external patient feedback from a lot of different sources into one place so you can get a good picture of your reputation situation. And once you have that, you can schedule a one-on-one session with our team. This is a personalized conversation where we can dive into what we found on the dashboard and apply it to your specific practice. When you combine those two things, it's a great combination. What we get is a reputation management strategy that allows you to turn patient feedback into practice growth and into visibility in as many places as possible. Right. To get your free dashboard and schedule your session, simply visit letsrave.com, or we'll also follow up with the link in an email after the webinar. Now we'll open it up for questions. All right. So one question that we've got, I think we've only got time for one here, is how do we transition old SEO strategies to GEO without completely redoing our entire website? It's a really good question, really good point. Don't stop doing anything that you're doing with SEO, with search engine optimization. The way that I think about search engine optimization, it is still very important, just as important as it has always been. It is the foundation upon which GEO is built. So all of the work that you're doing with GEO, it just layers on top. All of the, consistent, trustworthy sources that you're building up, layers on top of SEO. Don't stop doing all of that, that good work there. Okay, so we don't have time for any more questions, but if you did not get your question answered in the chat today, or if I didn't address it here, please feel free to email info@raterate.com or visit letsrave.com. Thank you all again so much for being with us today.